Welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com, and my name's Alexander, and today we are taking a look at one of my most recent purchases. I actually picked this up at WBC recently, and this is Guam, Return to Glory. This is from Compass Games, and this is part of Adam Starkweather's CSS series, which is company scale. And this one's designed by Ross Mortal, and it's got the same graphic artist, Antonio Pina. This is, as you can tell, it's volume 2 of the Marianas campaign. So why I was so interested in this is back a couple of years, was it 2017? We picked up, Grant bought Saipan, the Bloody Rock, which was the first one in this series, first one in the CSS series and scale, first one in this Marianas campaign, and we had a blast playing it. It's beautiful, and it's a lot of counters, it's a lot of stuff, but it was so fun to play. And so I had my eye as soon as they announced this, and I've finally been able to get a hold of it. So what we're going to do is just kind of take a look inside of it and show you kind of what you get. Saipan is a 2-map game. This is a 4-map game, so this is a big one. It's almost a monster size game, but really it's a little bit smaller than kind of your typical monster game. So kind of, we'll flip it over to the back. Oh, I got it upside down. How about that? So this is what the play subs look like. So yeah, it's 4 maps. It's kind of divided up into 4 this way, but so much of this is blue. So really, playing space-wise, it's not a ton. It's more about the shape more than anything. And they could have maybe made it into like 3 awkward shaped maps with a bunch of overlays, but I'm glad they didn't. Made it a bit more convenient for some of the smaller scenarios. So if you look over here, this little chart, you know, these little arbitrary complexity level is what I would assume is kind of the 7 on this 1 to 10. Playtime is 50 hours. Some of the scenarios are much smaller than that, but the whole campaign 50 hours. There's 1,056 pieces, and I believe, I don't quote me on that, but I think that's less. That's fewer pieces than Saipan. I'm not sure of that, but I believe it's a very similar amount, if not a little bit less. So, and it's 4 maps, and solitaire ratings up. This is like probably 8 or 9, kind of on a 10 scale. Very high solitaire suitability. There's very little hidden information in this game, if any. So if you just want to push pieces around, best possible move. That's kind of what you gotta get yourself in for. So let's crack it open, see what we're getting inside. Let's see if we can get this out of the light a little bit. That's kind of awkward. All right. So 10-sided dice. You get 2 of those. This is obviously a system that uses those. First thing we've got here, tiny bit of errata. Not necessarily what you want to see. Cracking the game open. It's brand new, but yeah, it's very minor. Presumably it's just one little piece of errata there, so we'll bear that in mind. I might cut that out and stick that in my rulebook, because usually I forget these things. Here's some advertising from Compass Games. Well, there are other games you can send off and order them. Mail order if you want. So that's nice. I'll have a gander through those. We have here rules of play. Let's just take a look. Okay. So, unlike a lot of other series games, there isn't like a series rules and then a game rules. Everything's just kind of self-included here. But, you know, nice, big, thick rule book. Nice to have a nice colored cover on it. And this is really cool, artwork. Got yourself a Sherman over here, being followed up by some Marines. Just kind of, looks like he's kind of walking, half stalking through this open, rubble-ish terrain with some trees in the background. So, really neat. Now let's take a quick look. 55 pages in this manual, but this is expanded sequence of play, the last 2 pages, bibliography, and the rest of that seems to be rules. A lot of rules. Lots and lots of rules. Now, I don't know if you kind of saw that looking through. It's a decent sized font, so it's actually not uber dense, but it's lots of diagrams, colored pictures explaining everything, all the various terrains and stuff. And that's something I noticed when we played Saipan. The rulebook was very good. So I expect a similar type of thing here. Yeah, that's a lot of rules to get through. But I expect to get through it. And presumably through the different scenarios it kind of adds bits and pieces. Some of it's quite you know, it's minor things. Oh, you know, you got a sniper counter. There's some special sniper rules to get on with. But yeah, 55 pages of rules. This isn't going to be just some short game nonetheless. Here's a scenario book. So I expect to see scenarios and other things. Looks like on the back you've got a random event table. You can see here, this is 40 pages long, this booklet. So you've got 55 pages there, 40 pages here. A lot of reading ahead of you. Oh, this is cool. So here's a diagram showing you what the scenarios look like at a glance. So here's the entire map, and if you look, it's kind of color-coded over here. So this blue outline is scenario 1. It's just this tiny little box here. So if we were to go scenario 1, it would presumably be a single map, and you use this tiny little bit. Same for this red one here, scenario 2. You just do this box. So get out this map here, and just do this one. Scenario 3, the Devil's Horns. You're going to do some amphibious landings, doing this black box here. And then, I don't know if you can see, Liberation Day is this orange border that goes around the whole thing. That's going to be your 50-hour full campaign. So that's actually really neat. I don't know if I've seen that. I don't remember if Saipan had that or not, but that's cool. So you can see at a glance what a scenario is going to visually look like space-wise on a table. So you can say, okay, I need to put 2 tables together so I can get this all out. Or it's a one-map scenario. I'm good. That kind of thing. And so scenario 1, scenario 2, it's kind of what you'd expect, right? So you have OOBs for Japanese and Americans, special rules, and then they actually show you, this is that tiny little map space here, this is where you set up special rules. Very similar here, obviously OOBs are getting bigger, and second term with reinforcements coming in, bigger scenarios, more reinforcements, so that's really neat. We will get cracking with some of those ones, get started with this. 6, raising the flag, Liberation Day. So all of this is all the scenario outlines. Okay, so it's 30 pages of scenario setup, and there was 7. That's 7 scenarios. Probably one of those is like proper just a training scenario for the rules, that really tiny first one. And then the rest of these, the last 10 pages or so, looks like player notes, so what to do, how to go about doing it, what you should be aiming for as each player. Designer notes, always like to see what the designer had in mind. Historical notes, what actually happened. And on the back again, that random events chart, which presumably comes up in some of the scenarios. So that's all you're reading. That's going to be a lot to do, but it seems to be manageable, at least for a game of this scope. Here we've got some play aids. These are, I remember these. There's a bunch of them. Let's get them all out. Okay, so these ones, to start with, are your kind of army organization charts. So this one's for 77th Infantry Division. You routed units, it's holding boxes, different things. This part here for reallocating support weapons and available support weapons is a really neat thing. So obviously your battalion has a series of support weapons, but they're reassigned between different companies. What happens is you know, within those, if you want to get a support weapon from one company to another, you can't just transfer it. You have to take it off the map and put it on here, and then the subsequent turn it's going to move here, and then you can put it back out. So there's a delay in the transfer of support weapons. And the holding boxes keep that from being clunky, and you can kind of change your mind about maybe once they're in here, it's like, oh crap, I need it over here instead of where I had initially thought I was going to transfer it to. So you get a bit of tactical flexibility, but there's this tactical delay. So you can't just run around your mortars and your heavy machine guns all the time. You have to be very, very smart and very, very particular about how you do that because of this delaying tactic. Awesome, really, really cool. And you've got a general records track. And that's very similar here. 3rd Marine Division, 1st PR Marine Brigade. I'm gonna embarrass myself. Provisional Marine Brigade. Okay. Those are all the same boxes. Again, they got these little command rating and dispatch rating and troop quality ratings there. Those were included in the scenarios, but just a helpful reminder so you don't have to keep flipping back in the books. And then you've got 2 of these for Japan. You've got Empire of Japan, so you've got 29th Infantry Division, 48th Independent Mixed Brigade, and then you've got one for the Imperial Navy. And, you know, this is inter-service rivalry kind of thing. They're going to operate independently of each other. So that's those. So you're going to need, you've got your big maps, and you're going to have these out. So you're going to need a big space to play this game. I'm just going to warn you. But then we've got, for each player, these are identical charts and tables. Looks like, alright, let's see. So CRT up here, and then it's modifiers for direct fire, indirect fire, assault modifiers, kind of a results summary of what all these mean, because, if you've got this as 2DG/R star. Okay, that means nothing. So you go down here, here's what the number means, that many DGs are added, route checks, hexes suppressed, all these different things. That this is kind of decoding what your results are. Action summary chart, route modifiers, and then there's a small sequence of play here. And this is fine if you kind of, once you're 25 hours into your 50-hour campaign, you've got this, but I would recommend having handy this expanded sequence of play, which has got your planning phase, or preparation phase, I suppose it's called, and then your action phase. That's going to help us get the game played more easily. But identical for both players. These are double-sided. Terrain effects chart on the back, kind of what you'd expect. And then a little key of all the different special rules of all those things. Again, identical, one for each player, so super duper nice. We have date, time, and weather display. So this is basically our turn track, victory point track. So you've got time within each day. So as you can tell, if you're going the full campaign, you're playing this many turns each day. There's a lot of stuff going on here. This is again not a short game, and then little weather track here, nice and easy. Whilst this seems like a lot of card to have out, it helps you manage things. It's actually not that bad. I'll be honest with you. When we played Saipan, which had less, just because there's the maps were half the many maps, you still had all these cards, and it was just helpful to keep track of everything. It was very neat. So here we've got just over 1,000 counters, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counter sheets. And if you've played any of Compass games, this is fairly typical of what you can expect from them. So you've got these NATO-based symbols. The colors are very bold, which I enjoy, and you can see the different formations. So this is all the same, I think, brigade? I'm going to say that wrong. I'm just going to double check before this is 3rd Marine Division. Okay, so you have a Marine Division, and within those you've got various battalions, and each of these is a company. I believe that's the scale of it. And then there's a bunch of different markers here as well, which activation chips. This kind of a chip roll activation in this one, which is really nice. Hence, it's also good solitaire. Again, it's more and more and more of the same. You've got some Japanese forces down here in yellow. More Japanese forces in orange. And then you've got his, so you've got some task forces and air support markers here, bombardments, a lot of foxholes. And this is the other interesting thing, right? As many counters as we just looked at, it's really 1, 2 and a half, 2 3/4 are units. And if you kind of look here, all of these are just different support weapons. Knee mortars, HMGs, bat guns. I don't know what that is. I should know what that is, but I don't. But these are the counters. That's flamethrowers. So cool. If you go into Torch in the Caves. These other 3 sheets, plus a little bit on that other one, are all administrative counters or additions, markers. So there's a lot of foxholes. There was a lot of foxholes on the other one. You've got Banzai counters. End of the campaign is going to be a huge Banzai charge, which, by the way, is amazing. The Japanese get utterly slaughtered. But if you can get your Japanese Banzai units into melee, they are deadly. So a very, very fascinating game to play from start to finish. Well worth it. Now, more of these Japanese foxholes, pinned markers, just administrative counters that you'd expect, and the foxholes become these really deep trenches. There's ridge markers, bunkers, more barrage markers, smoke markers, illumination. So there was night turns on this turn track here. You have a night 1 and a night 2. And you need these illumination markers to basically fire at anything that's at any distance during nighttime. And you want to be popping these illumination markers towards the end of the campaign during banzai charges too. These are disorganization level markers. Those you accrue through the CRT or through overstacking units. This is a way to kind of to mark units that have, may not take losses, but they're in a logistical nightmare. If they're all stacked on top of each other, they're too crowded, or disorganized through various different fires and things like that. So there's level 1, level 2, and then it goes to level 3 over here as well. And there's a bunch of those, and the Japanese have all those as well. So there's a lot of extra bits and pieces there. You can see here there's some cool tokens for booby traps, there's some snipers, there's mines. And here's one of the cool things that I saw, which I haven't read the rules of, but I think it's fascinating. You can see there's some drunk banzai charges. They were all drinking sake, and then I don't know if that makes them more or less effective. It looks like that bottom modifier might be better, but I think that makes them better. These banzai ones are plus 3 TQ and plus 3 at the bottom. These are plus 4s. So that might be kind of like some, what do they call that? I don't know. But get drunk, lose all your inhibitions, and then you just go for it. So it makes them maybe more effective. I think that might be what that does. But then there's some drunk markers. This looks like it's whiskey. For the Americans, that might make them worse. There's some negatives on there. So I don't. They'll be interesting. I got to read the rules on that. That'll be fascinating. Just gonna see what happens with that. But there's really 6 sheets of markers, or 3 sheets of markers, 3 sheets of units. So it's really not super, like, you'll get lots of stacks and stuff, but it's not 6 sheets of units. So understand that whilst it is a monster game, the play size isn't overly huge because how much of the maps are just water, and relatively speaking, how few of those 6 counter sheets are units. So let's take a gander here at least some of the map here. Okay. I don't know. Oh, we got it upside down. This is kind of the middle of Guam. I'll see if, I don't know if we can see everything here. It looks like we can see at least the map. Alright. So if you look over here, here's that Here's the CRT, sequence of play, weather table, assault modifiers, and route modifiers. All of that was on that play aid is on here. So if you're playing one of the scenarios in the middle, you don't need that. You need that play aid out. Again, there's a CRT over here for the other player, and this has indirect, direct modifier. So this is all of the information that was on that play aid card printed on one of the 4 maps. Let's take the other ones under here. So that's, what is this one? This is called the TN map. They didn't number them, they just gave them the names. And you look, okay, so first off, let's see if you can see the detail on that. I'm trying to get rid of the glare. You can see there's like a ton of fields all over. The terrain's really nice. There's this dark lush green here, and then there's this kind of a more olive green here. And what's important to note here is that they have these central dots in the middle, and those are to remove any ambiguity. Those make it really easy to know, hey, this is what this terrain looks like. So for example, here, in this hex, let's see if you can see that, there's a big old glare right now. Let me pick that up so I can show you. Oh, let's see if we can see it. Okay, so, alright, we'll show you on this map here. So this hex here, Valcora Beach, yeah, there's a bunch of this olive green, there's some sea and there's some sand, but this yellow dot is like definitively, this is a yellow, presumably beach sand hex. So those dots are very helpful for doing that. Now when you got counter stacked on them, yeah, sure, it's not nearly as helpful, but when you're moving into there, you've got an idea of what exactly you're moving into. Let's take a little look at this map. This is the northern end of the island. I think this one, I want to see. Yeah, this one joins on top of this one here. Okay, and again, let's see if we can get that in. That same CRT, all of these same charts and tables, all from that play aid are reprinted on this map. So if you only play on this map, you've got it all handy again. Something that I really appreciate. You know, some of the monster games out there where they try to make them convenient, right? If I'm playing a format game, let's make it a convenient format game. And here's one. Ooh. So this is the southeastern end of the aisle. It would go this way around, so I can't get half that in. Now this map, Inarajan, sure. I'm going to put it this way just so we can get it all in. This one's got a few more mountains here on the southeastern tip. Let's see, a few little city, and you can see there's roads going along. Roads give you bonuses if you're traveling on them, that kind of stuff. This map doesn't have those charts on it, doesn't have anything else on there. And we're just going to double check real quick for convenience here to see. I believe they did that because if you look here, there is never a scenario where you'll have just this map. So they didn't print it on there because if you're playing on this map, you've got these charts printed on the other map right here, for example. So they were economical with that, which is nice. And we'll get out this final map, and I think this is the map that is has the most scenarios played on it. And you can tell just by looking at it here, there's a 1, 2, kind of 3 different approach boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These red ones, red, green, and blue, represent those are different formations that go on those. So this seems to be a huge mountain here as well. So that's again all players right here. So I think, you know, we didn't see the players on the other one that would be adjacent this way. Maybe I'll lay these out and take a picture just to show you. But so this map down here has at least green, purple, yellow, black. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. How am I? 4. So there's at least 4 scenarios played on this map alone. 5 if you include that orange major campaign as well. So this one we're probably going to have out the most, and we can play around on it, which is exciting. Obviously this provides a lot of tactical and strategic challenges, because you're going to land on this beach here, and you've got to assault this ridge, for example, or you'll be landing over here, and then it's the same thing. You've got a huge mountain right in front of you. Maybe you go up and take the city, but I guess that's kind of was the most open and easiest places for them to land initially. So a lot of stuff going on here, and there's a bunch of cave markers that you'll put out, and the Japanese can move in and around. A lot of those surprise ambush type things are going to be going on up there. Bring up your flamethrower units, all the different things to kind of flush the Japanese out of their stronghold. So very, very exciting. I don't know if I'm ever going to play with all 4 maps, but one day I will. One day I would love to. But this is one where, you know, what enticed me was A, the system's great, B, it looks great, but C, they do a good job of making it playable by having a lot of small and fewer map scenarios. So that's, you know, something that really drew me to this. I'm excited to get this played. I don't know quite when I'm gonna get this played, but we're gonna play it sooner rather than later. Hopefully this year, which in game terms is both terrifying but also inspires some hope. You know, I'll get this done in the next few months, at least playing around with it. I would appreciate you tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com, and this has been Guam, Return to Glory from Compass Games.